Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our marketing series, Creating Engaging Value-Added Content. We are getting started here. We've got some more folks joining us from the waiting room. I'll encourage each of you to open up your chat if you feel so inclined and introduce yourself. This is a great opportunity to network with other fellow small business owners and small business champions across our region and across the state. Even though we're not here in person, but we're excited to have you live on screen. And if you would like to have your camera on, that's great. If you don't, that is totally cool too, whatever you feel comfortable with today. And we are right at 2 o'clock, so we will go ahead and get started. As I mentioned, today is our marketing series, Creating Engaging and Value-Added Content, which is part of our marketing series. And we have our awesome presenter, Nicole, who I'll introduce in just a few minutes. We are so excited, y'all. I was telling her a few minutes ago when I met Nicole, I feel like it was about this time last year, I was determined we have to get her on our team somehow. And I'm so excited to have Nicole here. She is just a wealth of knowledge and information, is just a great resource and a great person. So, all right, friends, let's go ahead and get started with some housekeeping. Our virtual workshop today will last an hour. If you would be so kind to keep your microphone muted unless you're asking questions of Nicole. You can also utilize the chat to ask questions or raise your hand in your Zoom menu. We are recording this workshop for internal use, and you'll receive a copy of it after the fact. If you would like to have closed captioning on, you will also turn that on in your Zoom menu, and then that will prompt me to turn that on for us. And of course, take notes. And I don't know about you all, but I've got my fresh little notebook here and a whole variety of pens and a highlighter to capture some great little nuggets of wisdom that Nicole will share with us later today. And of course, after the fact, if you have not had a chance to meet with an advisor, we welcome you to do that. If you are in our region, and we serve the Allegheny Highlands, the New River Valley, Franklin County, and the greater Roanoke Valley, Nicole is on our team. She is our marketing advisor and is available for appointments. You can also schedule appointments with our other advisors as well. All right. If you have not visited our website yet, here's just a quick snapshot of a few different things for us. I'll show you our advisor match in just a second. If you want to go through that, you're welcome to do that. We also have our library available to you that is chock full of articles and worksheets to help you and your business grow. Whether you're just getting started or you are growing and expanding, we have resources available for you. And this is a little snapshot of our advisor match. So you'll answer a couple questions and we'll get you matched with the best advisor for you and your business and what stage your business is in. All right, whoops. Oh, click happy there on my mouse. For those of you that are in the food and beverage industry, or you know somebody who is a foodiepreneur, you are invited to join us on July 25th. So 2 weeks from today, we'll be live at the Vinton War Memorial for our first ever Foodiepreneur Symposium. And we would love to have you join us or help us spread the word. We're excited to be able to host that for all different types of food businesses and consumer packaged goods, beverages, those consumable things. We'd love to have you join us for our Foodiepreneur Symposium. And after that, on September 1st, we will be at the Preserve at Crooked Run in Fincastle for our first ever Entrepreneur Her Retreat. We've got a jam-packed schedule for both Foodiepreneur and Entrepreneur Her of great things for you as you are growing your business. And I will post links to both of those events in our chat. All right. So how do we do all of our work? We are funded in part through a cooperative agreement with the United States Small Business Administration. We are supported by America's SBDC, Virginia SBDC, and the Mason Enterprise Center at George Mason University. Pandemic-related capacity building grant funding has been provided by Go Virginia, and other funding is provided by local administrations, economic development offices, organizations, and other small businesses that are champions, small business champions in your corner. We want to give a special thanks to our host, the Roanoke Regional Chamber of Commerce, who provides space and support for our work. All right. I want to just say a special thank you. I'm so excited that you're here today to spend time working on your business. My colleagues and I welcome an opportunity to work with you alongside of you over the life of your business. Be sure to follow us on social. We're sharing all kinds of great resources on our Instagram account that have little special nuggets about our upcoming workshops, events, and programs. And I'll post a link to that in our chat. And like I mentioned before, we'd love to schedule an advising appointment with you if that is something that you're interested in. All right, as I mentioned, I am so excited that Nicole is here today so we can learn more about creating value-added content. So as you all know, she is our marketing advisor, and we are just so blessed to have Nicole with us. So Nicole, I am going to stop sharing my screen and stop talking and turn the microphone over to you, because that's why people are here, not to hear me.
Thank you so much, Heather. And thank you to everyone who is spending an hour of your Monday afternoon with us on this beautiful day, at least here in Southwest Virginia. It's a beautiful day. We had a very rainy weekend, which was great for creating a webinar about value-added content. Perfect weather for that. But anyway, thank you all for being here. This is something if you've ever had a marketing meeting with me, and I encourage you to, please feel free to reach out if you'd like to schedule some time. I talk a lot about value-added content. We're going to talk about what that is. And hopefully I have successfully sort of made it into bite-sized manageable chunks. Within this presentation today, I am going to give you some resources. So bits of some apps, software, that sort of things that I would recommend helping you along the way. One thing, just to talk about advising appointments, I do have folks who schedule with me from time to time because they want someone to sit down with them and work out how to use a piece of software. So for example, somebody wanted to set up a link tree and she'd never done it. And so we did a Zoom share where we just sat down together and worked on setting up her link tree together, because sometimes it's just having that extra voice. So on anything like that, please feel free to reach out, as well as anything that I talk about today where you're like, I went and looked at this site, Nicole, and I'm a little overwhelmed or confused. Can we sit down and work through it together? Or how can I use this specific to my business? Those are some of the things that I can help you with in a marketing appointment. So with all of that said, I will go ahead and get started. Speaking, this is a marketing webinar and it is part of a marketing series. The average American is exposed to 4,000 to 10,000 marketing items per day. It's a huge number because, we're constantly inundated, and as business owners, you're also creators, so you probably get even more exposure, but it really becomes louder and busier and harder to sort of stand out. So what we're going to talk about today is how to grow your audience and build that trust to keep people coming back to your sites, specifically your digital media, to help you build that kind of content that keeps them coming back. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. All right. So creating, engaging, and value-added content. Let's get started. So if you would take a moment in the chat box and finish this sentence: content creation is. So what is content creation to you? I'd love to see some of your responses. I know some people will say content creation is fun. Content creation is time consuming. Content creation is necessary, time consuming, a lot of work. Yes, very common responses. Definitely a necessary part of the landscape in today's intimidating. Yep, Janet, it can be very intimidating. And hopefully I'll have some tools for you. Not something that comes naturally to everyone, true. And I would say it doesn't come naturally to most folks. Some people make it look like it does come naturally, and that's part of their charm. So little bits of interesting information to share. Absolutely. That is a big part of value-added content creation. So content is king. We hear that often. Content is king. So content creation is the kingmaker. So content creation is, oh, sorry, I went ahead too fast. We'll go ahead. But you're creating a brand, right? So branding humanizes your business. Branding allows a customer to connect with you, but beyond the function of the product. So the way that we create content now, today, is not the content you might have created a year ago or 6 months ago. And likely it's not going to be the content that you're creating in the future. So content is king, and that king is on the move all of the time. So being able to change and have the tools to help you make those changes is really, really invaluable. So there's not one set and done. You're going to sit on one webinar, you're going to go through one class, and you're going to know how to make great content. Ultimately, yes, the one thing that doesn't change is you. And this is where your value added and content marketing comes in. So no matter the platform, no matter the style, no matter the sound clip that's popular right now, the thing that doesn't change is you. Therefore, you have the one thing that will get you through every iteration. So that's yourself. So we're going to talk a little bit about branding and brand marketing, and because this is how we get to, this will help us untangle what is value added content. So we're going to start with the branding aspect. So of course there's branding like in the visual sense, but we are going to be talking about content marketing or content branding versus brand marketing. Let's see, brand marketing defines your identity, who you are, what you do, what makes you unique, your personal story, what do you promise your customers. It gives you an impression, it gives folks the impression of who you are overall. Content marketing creates valuable content to attract and retain a specific audience with the ultimate goal of driving customer education and action. A brand is a promise that when kept creates preference. So as you are building your relationships with your customers through your clients, you are building hopefully a relationship that when they do need your product, they will prefer you because they know you. They have a sense of understanding who you are and where you're coming from, not just what you're selling and not just how much it is and not just how your product is better than everybody else's. It is really is built into all of this is the storytelling aspect that will eventually create a preference for you and your brand. So content and value-added marketing. You want to create content that will attract and retain a specific audience with the ultimate goal of driving engagement and action. So they want to discover your brand along the way. So you're going to be sharing your content, and we're going to talk about how to create that content here in a few minutes. But as you're sharing your content, you're building your brand. It doesn't force a hard sell. It educates, it entertains, it inspires. It creates an identity that's woven throughout your content. It can foster trust, and it can leave a great impression, which will lead to action. In most cases, that action is a sale or some kind of a deal where you're working together. You have a lucrative relationship. It is a slow burn approach that works perfectly with social media. As we said, all of those thousands of messages coming in every single day. We've become very savvy at sort of teasing out what's an overt ad. This is where brand marketing or content marketing, value-added content is the game changer for you. It pushes content to a target audience, and it doesn't push content to a targeted audience. It pulls audiences in by providing them relevant content, making them want to interact. I know Sarah is here. She owns Mountain Time Honey. You might not be in the market for honey right now, but she shares some beautiful photos of her honey or photos of her harvesting honey from her beehives. It's not that I'm, I need honey right now. Where's Sarah? I'm following her for wonderful content, beautiful content. And so when the time comes, I'm going to remember, I know a woman, I follow this woman on social media. She's going to be at this farmer's market and I want to go see her honey because I follow her. So I'm invested. I've watched these bees. Now I'm going to go taste that honey. That's really, really valuable content. So a little shout out to Sarah, who I know is here. Hi, Sarah. 90% of consumers say that authenticity is important when they decide which brands they purchase. You are also a consumer. We're all consumers as well as creators. And for a huge majority of us, that authenticity, that coming through of who that brand really is valuable to us to the point that it might sway whether or not we choose to make a purchase with that company, that organization, or that business. So the secret is unlocked. A lot of people think, what is it, Nicole? If I meet with you, will you tell me how do I make $1 million in sales using my social media? The secret is that you hold the cards. You are the one doing the trick. You are the one that makes the magic happen. As I said, you are the only one of you. And in this case, creating value-added content that is authentic to who you are and that is authentic to your passion is where the magic really happens. So where do we start with all of this? Number one is researching your target audience. So we can create the content, but it's not without work. And doing this kind of work up front will really help you dial in the content when you get to the creation stage. But the first stage in creating any good long-term content, value-added content, is researching your target audience. There are several ways to do that. It's going to depend on you. It's going to depend on your business, what works for you. You can form focus groups from existing customers. You can send surveys. There are online SEO tools, that sort of thing. But really ask yourself, what does your ideal audience care about? What are some commonly asked questions that they have? Think of your FAQs, your frequently asked questions. You know what your inbox looks like. You know when you go out to craft fairs or wherever it is that you're selling your product, the kinds of questions you get over and over. What is your target audience struggling with? What objections might they have? What are some common mistakes? And what is your competition doing? Don't spend too much time worrying about the competition, but it's part of the whole analysis. So this is the ideation phase of your marketing campaign in terms of value-added content marketing. This is a great chance to research your competition and do a little bit of a deep dive. One thing I like to tell folks when they're struggling for content or where to start or which way to go is not only checking out what your competition is doing, but this is just a little inside tip. Go into the comment section of your competition's posts and see how people are interacting on their posts. See what kinds of questions they're asking. This will give you some data that could help you tease out content that you could create. You could sort of stave off what they're seeing. Okay, well, I'm not going to go down that route because I know I'm going to get a bunch of these questions and I don't want to deal with it. Or maybe they're not answering it in a way that you think is the most effective and you see it as an opportunity to really get those eyes. And also, I mean, if they're having those questions with your competition, they probably have those questions for you. So it gives you a chance to be proactive and it gives you a chance to create content that's meaningful, clearly to your potential customer base because they are asking this of your competition. So getting into those comment sections a little bit and taking a look to see where there might be some openings for you. Where can you make some inroads to sort of guiding those folks over to your product or to your service. So the comment section can yield a lot. And with that being said, just know that they could also be in your comment section. So be mindful of how you are interacting in your comment sections on any of your socials. Specifically, another tidbit is if somebody does make a comment on a post, an interaction, that's gold. Don't just give it a like. Certainly don't ignore it. But ask a question if you have a reasonable question to ask in return. that will help boost you a little bit in the algorithms, as well as sort of start building that relationship. So you have a back and forth. You make a post, somebody says, oh, that's great, that reminds me of my grandma. And you say, oh, how nice. Like, can you think of a way to engage a little bit more in that conversation and sort of keep that boosted? And there are a lot of reasons why that could potentially be helpful. But those are just some things to think about in the ideation phase of your media creation, and how to sort of zoom in on your target audience. So this will help you create a unique value proposition. This is what your customers need and care about, what you do really well, and what your competition does really well. So this kind of strategy will allow you to set a clear direction, define your goals. You can measure market share, optimize your current campaigns, and also remain competitive. So that's your value-added proposition. So let's talk a little bit about the algorithm. A lot of people think that the algorithm, well, it is sort of mysterious. It's proprietary. Each organization has an algorithm that they have created and that they tweak, because they never want anybody to sort of figure out how to work around the algorithm. Social media companies are in it to make money. So for businesses and for people who are trying to make money using their platform, they want a cut of it. So using the algorithm to your benefit without paying is a constant game between the creator and the media company. So the algorithm is based on relevancy, not real time. So when you are seeing things in your feed, in your own personal feed, it's often because the algorithm has determined that these are things, keywords, phrases, businesses that you interact with. And so it's making its best guess at what it thinks you want to see. So with that knowledge, as you're thinking about creating content for your customers, know that their algorithm is also going to show them what it thinks they want to see. What are they interacting with? Okay, you've clicked this. I was talking to Heather before you all came in that I'm going to share with you some tools. And I know if we're let's use Canva, for example. Once you leave here, if you do a research on Canva and some other apps like Canva, once you type that into your Google search, now the algorithm says, okay, this person might be interested in creating digital images, digital content, and you're going to start being bombarded with ads and other things that it thinks you might be interested in because you Googled that. So knowing this about keywords is going to lead us to some information here in just a second. But so developing your content at this point, now you know you have an audience that is interested. You've got keywords that will help you find an interested audience. And this is where something like Uber Suggest comes in. I don't know if anybody has any experience with Uber Suggest. I'm going to screen share with you so you can kind of see what this looks like. It can be overwhelming. If you love data, you will love Uber Suggest. If it's gonna like drive you crazy, some people love data a little too much, and you can really deep dive and spend hours in Uber Suggest. So before we get to that, I just want to talk about this kind of tool will help you as you understand some of your customers' pain points, as you're trying to figure out what they need help with, which content will be most relevant and helpful for them. Using something like Uber Suggest will also help you strategize on how you're going to build that brand awareness and how others are doing it as well, and help you to be as sort of specific as possible in how you are reaching out to them. So let me switch over to show you just a quick. So this is Uber Suggest. If you go to Uber Suggest, it's neilpatel.com/Uber Suggest. There's a free version. Everything that I'm going to show you has a free version. So, but of course you're limited in like how many times a day you can use it and what kinds of things you can do. So I did a search a little earlier on chocolate chip cookies. Say I'm a baker. So now I'm trying to create content, but I don't know where to start. You might come to Uber Suggest. I did a keyword search for chocolate chip cookies. So I'm a baker. If you look over here on the left-hand side, these are keywords. Keywords are huge for driving, for helping you as keywords are used to help SEO, that's search engine optimization. It also helps folks to find things that they're interested in. Let me scroll over here. Where did it go? Let's go back to the dashboard. Keywords. Sorry, guys, there is a Chrome extension, which I have been playing with. I haven't used it that often. Content ideas. So I'm going to come over here. Content ideas. This is where I was with chocolate chip cookies. So here's how Uber Suggest works. It will show me who is using that keyword or phrase. You can use several words, even short phrases. It will show you where it's being used and how often it's getting clicked on. And using this information, and this is just under content ideas, this can help you generate some content ideas of your own. You can enter industry words or phrases that are specific to your industry, and it will show you which content is doing well as what's not doing well. We'll click over here on similar websites. So this would be the kind of thing that we could sit down and look at, but this could really help you drive some content or create content based on what is trending in your industry, based on what you are looking for. And again, you could, if you love data, this is a great place to go. But if you're just looking for ideas, content ideas, definitely take a look at Uber Suggest and type in some options, and you can follow the breadcrumbs, cookie crumbs in this case, and see how people are interacting. You can also see which keywords these folks are using so that they're coming up. See what keywords are. Sorry, some of these are the paid keyword ideas. So anyway, I won't take up too much time. We can definitely go through here. I would recommend taking some time. There are some great tutorials on YouTube, including ones by Neil Patel, where he will actually walk you through the software and talk to you about what your options are. So let me get back over. So that's a really great place for when you are looking for ideas, content that's valuable to folks in similar fields, what they're looking at, what they're using, without just having to constantly reinvent the wheel. So Uber Suggest, great place to start for ideas. Then the planning phase comes in. Hootsuite, Airtable, Meta Business Suite, some of the big names that come to mind. I know that there are more, and there are, some people just go into Google Drive, create a calendar. So once you've got some content ideas, one way to save time and to really dial in some of your efforts to create sort of pillars of content, to look at where you're going to post and when. If you're just on Facebook and Instagram, don't worry about Hootsuite and Airtable. Worry about the Meta Business Suite. Allow that suite to do its job. If you're branching out into more spaces, if you have newsletters, that sort of thing, then you can look at using a bigger piece of software, but know that it will take more time to sort of understand and wrap your brain around. But once you do, it's really well invested time in terms of being able to block that time off to do content creation, block some other time off to do your content calendar. And then once that's done, you really can step away, and it's just a matter of housekeeping, following up with whoever is commenting on your posts and who's interacting and what's working. And the more once you begin those campaigns, then you really get some great data on what's working and what's not working, what's performing well for you and your audience, what they want more of, what they're not really responding to. So in the planning phase, the more relevant your content, the more likely your ideal audience will be interested in. And it helps you then to stand out in that busy digital space. And we get to the planning stage then to cut down on the time. Now that you have the great ideas, take a look at some of those spaces. The other things I want to talk to you about today, I want to make sure we talk about writing engaging copy. So sometimes you have such a big idea and it gets bogged down in how do I got to write it out, and that can be overwhelming for a variety of reasons. There are tools for you as well in creating great engaging copy. AI stands for artificial intelligence. There's a lot of work being done in this area right now, specifically in marketing. I would advise you to check out copy.ai, jasper.ai, which I have looked at. It to me, it seemed a little costlier, but I don't know what works for you, and WordTune. And what these companies do is, and they also have, there's a Google Chrome extension for, I want to say copy. No, WordTune, sorry. WordTune has a Google Chrome extension. So much like Grammarly, which will help you, if you remember back in the old days of having Word on your computer and you had that spell checker. So Grammarly will follow you across websites, wherever you go, and anytime that you type or interact, we'll be giving you grammar suggestions along the way. So there is a Chrome extension for that. So it will track you across platforms. WordTune also offers this. So if you're on a platform, you have the WordTune extension, or you want to use WordTune, you can copy and paste content, a sentence, a paragraph, copy and paste it into WordTune, and it will digest it and reformat it in ways that might work for you. You can even change the voice to formal. You can change it to lighthearted. There are lots of ways to sort of tweak the copy. So you can say the same thing over and over, but in different ways. And you can use some of these AI, some of this AI software to help you to do that. And the nice thing about it is it's based on existing data. So copy.ai, jasper.ai, WordTune, all of these spaces, they were built off of feedback from humans. They are also tracking what's trending. So they've already gone to like Uber Suggest, and the same idea is that what are people interacting with? How are they responding? And in the things that they are responding best to, copy.ai, Jasper, etc., they're creating based on that data, and it's constantly changing. So if you need help writing copy, it can be as big as a blog post, and it could be as simple as a caption for your Instagram. You can give it a few keywords, you can give it examples and say, yeah, I want something like this. So having these tools will help you also to create that value added content that is based on real data, and not just sort of throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. So take some time to take a look at these pieces of software, see if any of them work for you. Again, I know there are free versions. I'm not sure how, each one is going to have limitations on what is for free. And if you find a lot of value in it, it might be worth investing in a paid version, whatever that tier looks like for you. So this is a really great way to sort of brainstorm your ideas by putting things into some of these generators and seeing what comes up. And sometimes it can really spark an idea for you. Another component in value-added content is effective visual communication. A lot of what we do in social media marketing revolves around the visual aspect of things. So some options for you here are Canva. Canva has a great tutorial section. If you're not familiar with Canva or you haven't taken any kind of Canva course, they have a Canva Learning Center. I would recommend checking that out. Adobe Spark. Mojo is great for video creation. Lift is another beautiful, they're great for making Instagram stories, Instagram reels, and then Word Swag, and these are just a few examples. Great content. The nice thing about Word Swag, Mojo, many of these offer royalty-free photographs that are beautiful, sharp images already formatted for a variety of platforms. So you're not trying to use a fuzzy picture from your phone camera, or you're just taking a picture off of Google Images and not giving proper credit. These are royalty-free images in all of these apps. And again, each one of them has a free version, but effective visual communication, meaning eye-catching photos and videos. This is a really great chance to literally catch somebody's eye. So going to spaces like this, and Canva honestly is a great place to go for content creation ideas. Sometimes I just scroll through some of the suggestions that it makes and see what's trending. And Canva usually has monthly design contests, and it's kind of just digging in and seeing what's there can really help to give you some ideas on what is trending and what is working for folks. People are clearly using it, and people like it. Video in particular is really, really hot. So the deal is, the more time someone spends viewing your content, the more familiar they become with your business and the greater the trust. So as you create this stunning content, and not everyone is going to be, a home run, of course, but the more time they spend wanting to see your content, you've added value to their life, you've shared something beautiful, you've shared something funny, you've entertained them, the more likely they are to interact with you. And when it is time to do business, that trust has already been built. So I specifically wanted to take a second to talk about video, short form video in particular, very hot right now. It, even if you're not on TikTok, the Meta Instagram version, they're called Reels, Facebook Reels, very, very hot. There are rules. They will reward you for certain kinds of video. And this is not the place to sort of break down what each of those things are. But if you follow, there's a creator account that you can follow on Instagram that gives you some great tips on what Instagram itself is looking for in terms of what kind of reels are going to show up organically in front of people, how, holding your phone vertically versus horizontally, that sort of thing. There are all these sort of tips and tricks in there. But brands who use video to promote their product or promote their brand have 41% more traffic. And I heard this is not my statistic or my example, but this is to put that into perspective for you. 41% more traffic is the difference between a 5'7" average person and a 7'10" giant. That is a person taller than any player to ever have played in the NBA. So if you're thinking about your content, you're thinking about video and maybe are intimidated, remember the reward is 41% greater. And short form, it doesn't have to be a long drawn out video. It doesn't have to be a big tutorial video. It can be short. It can be funny, pithy, to the point. And the more you do it, the more you are rewarded in the algorithm. Again, it's trying to decide what kinds of things are you doing? Where can we put your content? Whose eyes are looking for this kind of content? And it's a two-way street. This is not just you being a consumer, you are now also a creator. So keep that in mind as you're thinking about planning your content. Visuals are key, and thinking about what your customer, going back to what your ideal customer or ideal client might be interested in, those frequently asked questions, things that are adding value to their life, to their day. And then of course, the creation should be the fun part. And hopefully if you've done your research, you've made some decisions in terms of what your brand marketing is going to look like, then you can get to creating the content. I would suggest batching as you're doing this. Create times where you're working on visual graphics, create times when you're working on writing captions. So then you're going to your .ai's or whatever, and then scheduling it out and watching to see how it unfolds. This will really come in handy if you have a busy season, if you are somebody who really does a lot of business around the holidays. Getting your content now started for the holiday season, whatever that is to you, so that's a huge thing that you can take off your plate. And it doesn't mean that once it's scheduled, that's the only thing that you can do. Of course, you can sort of pepper in other content as time and life unfolds. So ultimately, good content is not just how you stand out, but how you fit in, how you build that trust, how you build those relationships. This is in the online world, this is the equivalent of a handshake. So standing out and fitting in are almost kind of the same thing in this case. So let me go forward. I'm stuck, maybe. I know I had another slide after this. So I guess I will leave I have a few other things, but I want to make sure I gave you a lot of information. I want to make sure we have time to field any questions. Yeah, so basically your content is going to create traction. Those tractions will turn into relationships, and those relationships hopefully will then someday yield you with some sales and some long-term relationships in terms of that sort of lead generation, where it's not just, I did business with this person, but I did this person was interested and it led to them putting me in touch with this person or sharing my post or interacting with my post. Whether or not that person ever does business with you, ever buys your product, but they shared your post. So you might end up in front of the eyes of someone, or they say, I thought of you when I saw this company is promoting this product or has this service, and it's not for me, but because somebody is following it and the content is so engaging that it sticks in their mind when they're not on their phone or in front of their computer. So that kind of value added, it's really actually a meaningful position to be in. You control a very important narrative. And I think taking a look at it in terms of creating value in someone's life versus how do I sell more stuff, kind of when you can make that pivot, changes the game. So when you go back to content creation is, like we did at the very beginning, it can kind of change how we sit with it, how we feel in terms of a responsibility versus a drudgery. So, but of course, I'm open to any questions, thoughts, feedback that you all have. Yes, I see. The creator's account on IG. Yes, that's correct. Thank you. So I would love to chat with you. Any questions or anything like that I can help you with or guide you on, any specific questions?
Thank you so much, Nicole. I'm going to stop our recording, and that way we can talk freely.